Good morning, it's Chumahan, your friendly neighborhood American Indian lawyer. And I'm here to just make an announcement, man. I really think it's important for everybody to recognize that American wokeness, American liberal progressive wokeness has completely colonized British traditionals. Conservative British traditionals have been taken over by wokeness. This judge, obviously, is in a gender bending, bi curious garb. He's clearly exploring the artificiality of gender. Um, Looks like he's wearing a Nana grandma's wig and a nice red dress. Perhaps he's, portraying Mrs. Santa Claus, which is his right. I'm not here to judge it. I'm just pointing out, right, the dangers. Um, Obviously, this is an elderly man. So we can't even really blame the normalization of THC and smoking weed, or even the normalization of non-gender specific bathrooms. I just got to say that here in good old-fashioned England, where, many of the traditions that the conservatives in America have done, it comes from England. That's where it comes from, right? When they say Judeo-Christian values, Judeo-Christian values only got to the Americas through the Europeans. One of the major exporters of this Judeo-Christian values, where a man is a man, a woman is a woman, and there's no more of this funny business, right? Clearly, the most conservative and the most traditional have turned into gender bending cosplay fun. And look, right? We live in a liberal societies now, neo-libs, God knows whatever, but maybe it's MAGA's sort of super focused on protecting whatever traditions and definitions exist in the United States, that they've turned a blind eye to their British cousins. And the British cousins have fallen into the hands of gender bending freaks. Really, it's freaks. And think about the children in England. What are they going to do? Right? How are the children going to grow up? When this is just parading down the street, my understanding is they've even fought to be allowed to dress like this during court proceedings, in official government business. What's next? They're going to want pictures and images and discussions about morality and justice from freaks like this to be in textbooks for the British children? What are we going to do? I think that we really need to finally draw a line somewhere. Otherwise, the United States could end up looking like an old grandma. Grown men walking around looking like an old grandmother. When it's clear as day they're a man. Where's Ben Shapiro when we need him? Where is he in holding the British media? My God, the liberal-owned and controlled British media, BBC, which stands for bisexual boisterous corporation. Why isn't anything being done about this? These images are blasted all over the world. So I really think it's incumbent upon real traditionalists to tell these cross-dressing fake conservatives, cooks, right? Cooks. Nothing says cooks more than somebody who's got grandma's wig, Mrs. Claus dress, and, right, the colonel who invented Kentucky Fried Chicken, his tie. So I gotta say, we need to broaden the scope of this challenge. Where's Bobart? Where's Marjorie Taylor Greene? Where's Ben Shapiro? Right? What they need to do is go get a picture, right? We captured We have captured the traditional view of man and women so eloquently at the time, right? It was the technology we had at the time. American, I think it's a painting of two farmers. One's got a pitchfork. There are two farmers, and it's called American Gothic. It's famous, printed everywhere. All American conservatives, good, clean Christians, for God's sake, they all know that painting is American as apple pie. And they push it around, and it's so clear the genders in that painting, right? We know there's no gender bending, there's no confusion, there's no uprooting social norms. Clearly, that's a man and a woman, and you can tell. I think really not from anything biological. They kind of have the same body type and the same face, but you can kind of tell because one's wearing a dress and one's not. So it's clear. And now here we've got this guy parading around in his knickers, flaunting tradition as if it's something to be laughed about. And like, what's next? Right? It's a slippery, boy. What if I was to tell you this is a slippery slope to chaos? Sure, all our enemies abroad against NATO and, I mean, you know, Vlad the Inhaler Putin, I'm sure he's looking at this and saying, see, the West is in moral decline. Look what their government officials are doing in broad daylight, in public. Imagine that. Imagine that. I mean, walking around in a wig and a dress with a wooden hammer? Is there anything that signals the decline of the West than garb like this? Right? Where's Boris Johnson? Now I can kind of see why England decided to leave the European Union, because their judges got co-opted by the liberal media. Now their government officials are prancing about it. Lamb's wool wigs. So in this, I'm in solidarity with the American conservatives. Obviously, if you go back far enough in America's history, you can see, right? These Judeo-Christian values, the even temperament, the reasonableness, the prudency. Oh, the prudency. That came from MAGA's forefathers in England, right? And and now I understand. I mean, maybe it isn't racism. Maybe it's not an excuse to be racist by claiming that refugees are destroying quote unquote European heritage. Maybe that's true. Maybe everyone is concerned that if the world keeps going like it is, right, everyone's government officials will be cross-dressing. So anyway, take a good look at this. Really look at this. Okay? Really look at this. Right? And ask yourself, is this what we want for the children of the world? Confusion? Confusion? Confusion?